not 50K in a DM. How was this close? Stay tuned to find out. What's up, FlowChat fam? Hey, Chris here, CEO and co-founder of FlowChat. We're bringing you real entrepreneurs getting real results in the real marketplace. And today is an exceptional episode. You're going to want to stick around because our fellow FlowChat member is going to be revealing how on earth she closed a 50K deal in DMs and what really, because we all hear these lines. Is it real? How to really, that's what we're going to cover today. And Danielle, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited. I could talk to you forever, Chris.
We've gotten some great chat battles. I don't know if we even call that conversations over Zoom. Yes, we will go forever. We'll see. This might be the first Joe Rogan 3-hour episode.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can hang that long with you, honestly, because you have got. I thought I had a lot of energy until I met you, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can keep up.
Some people go to the gym. I have 3 kids trying to keep up. So that's how it goes. Hey. We like to jump right into it. Stick around if you want to hear more of Danielle's story. We are going to cover some of that. I like to do that more in the second part of the interview. We're talking about a 50K deal closed in DMs. Where do we even start with this? What am I supposed to ask you? How did this come about?
Well, it came about because I started using FlowChat. That's why.
Your invoice is in the mail, and we'll thank you or send it to me because I got to pay you for that. Anyway, no, you know where I was going with that. I obviously it's been working well for you, and but chat and what's your approach? Tell us more about this 50K deal.
Yeah, so LinkedIn's our jam. We actually teach entrepreneurs and teams and companies how to utilize LinkedIn. So we're at a little bit of an advantage when it comes to LinkedIn. But what our biggest problem was the closing deal, right? The close. We can do the attraction, not a problem. But it was definitely that follow through and close where we just struggle as a team. And so that was a big reason why we started using FlowChat. So our approach was really simple. We have a fully optimized LinkedIn profile. We know exactly who we're targeting, and we were targeting startups that really needed to get either they were getting their their seed money. So they were getting their
Series
seed
A
money, Series A or B. Yep. So we were doing Series A and Series B, and we were targeting them, and we're just having conversations. But like I said, we have a really great target. I have a really great targeted and optimized LinkedIn profile, so it does a lot of it for me. Cool. But I still have to have these conversations with them in the DM. So it's very much personalized, and I know you and I have had those conversations where, okay, where do we draw the line on automation versus organic? And you guys are all organic, and I agree. In the DMs, it definitely has to be organic. And so the approach was pretty simple. Like, hey, congratulations on your newly funded Series A. How are you guys gonna start getting sales? I mean, it's really what it was in a question. Just curious on what are your next steps. And so it just ended up being a real big conversation. And when you open yourself up and say congratulations on a post, even if it's all about them at the first piece of it anyway, they'll talk about that. They'll absolutely talk about themselves and what they're planning on doing. And if they come up short, like, I don't know how we're gonna utilize social media, and I'm like, well, actually, here's what I would just highly recommend this. Especially for your LinkedIn, given your company. And I just did my research, and like, given your company, I mean, your prospects are on LinkedIn, so I would just give them a couple pieces of advice. I'm like, you can do with it what you want. They're like, do you actually help people with this? Like, yeah, I absolutely help people with this.
I just figured I'd give it a shot. First time around, beginner's luck.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just really knowing that target market, and then having the conversation and just making it about them first and foremost. And what are their plans? How can you support them? And, finding out pretty quickly that they need a lot of support in something that you offer, and you can send them to that next step, which is, well, here are my packages. Go ahead and take a look and let me know if there's one that piques your interest. And by the way, I highly recommend this one, which is the highest ticket one for what you need. And so they're like, okay, good. Done. Let's get on the phone and let's take care of this.
Wow. So you're getting the pricing before even the call.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if they got Series A and B, you kind of know that they do expect to use part of that for marketing. And they can, with the great thing with LinkedIn is that they can just go and look at your profile and look at what you're up to. And if you're fully optimized, if you've got a big following, then they're like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. Her company knows what they're doing. Having the company called Influence Builder doesn't help, it definitely helps, especially if they're trying to build authority and influence. But yeah, I was really surprised how easy it was. And then I had FlowChat to thank for, because I'm like, oh, well, actually, we can just pull everything in from this great pipeline idea, and it was all about the follow-up on this one.
You've mentioned a couple of really important things. Let's kind of pause here for a second. There's two parts to the equation. The first part is like the attraction piece you mentioned. The second piece is kind of this follow-up element that you're referring to. You have a couple times. Now on the attraction side, your profile is optimized. Your brand influence builder is speaking to who you are and what you do kind of all in one. So those things have been positioned well. Now you're also targeting people really in a very targeted way. LinkedIn gets really specific and is definitely a plus on the LinkedIn side when it comes to searching and qualifying people. And you have some helpful automations in place to go search for, find, and qualify the right people. Getting the right message to the right people is half the battle. It's a big half of the battle, and it's half the battle. So I don't want to skip over all those things that you've done really well, which has created great results for you, even of course prior to FlowChat. Now the piece that you mentioned in the second part, the follow-up part, I feel like Vanna White over here. And now in this section, having the follow-up is money's in the follow-up. Anyone listening, watching this, you should already be sold on that. If not, you're gonna have to find another business podcast that teaches you the importance of follow-up. The industry average is 7 to 13 touches for closes. If you only have 3, you only have 5 touches, you're missing out on probably 30 to 80% of your sales. You should highly look at your sales process and figure out where and how you can systematically implement at least 7 to 13. We have about 20 to 30 touch points. We don't always get there, but we're prepared for it. Now, for this piece for you, follow-up is where it's happened. There's actually a really powerful story I can share in a second that goes with this, but walk us through that. Right? Before you're really good at attracting, you were kind of stuck a little bit. You closed this $50K deal because you now have follow-up in place. Can you tell us all more what that follow-up is and looks like?
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. Like I don't have like a generic message that I use. Instead, I have an insert message. And so really what I'm trying to do, and I do a couple of they're not NLP, but it's human psychology tricks where I know their buying persona pretty quickly by some of the
Tell
words
us
that
your
they're
secrets,
using.
Danielle.
I know, right? I know this is like one of my big trainings. So I did this to you. Fair enough. You're going to do it to me. I'm going to tell the secrets. So it's for buying personas, and so I can know pretty quickly. And buying personas will change based on situations. And knowing that this is a Series A that needs to get some sales in to make their people happy, to make their VCs happy. I'm like, I'm willing to bet you guys are ready for sales, or you need to get ready for sales. You need to get ready fast. And so that buying persona, where when I looked it up, this guy, it looked like he was going to have a longer sales process. I was like, I bet because of this situation, it's actually going to be a fast one. And I just need to talk about how to make him more competitive and how to move him faster. So, and that is I call that a competitive buying persona. So there's a lot of people that call it competitive, which just means tell me the tasks, the checklist, what I need to do to get from A to Z, and how fast can you get me there? And so knowing that piece of it, then I can actually create some really good messaging, follow-up messaging using the FlowChat steps. And you're right, it is usually like 10 to 13 for most of our people. I knew that I could actually skip a few of those if I just use some of those keywords within there. And so we just had some quick insert here, like what is it that they are doing really well. So we had to do some research and like, well, I really like that they are posting about this. I really like that they posted about their Series A wins. And so that was something that I inserted into not necessarily the first welcome message. It was the second one. And so knowing that was going to be an open-ended questions, and I can't remember exactly what it is. You're going to have to forgive me because we've been sending out a lot of these messages. And I'm like, I don't have it off the top of my head of exactly what we sent. But it was along the lines of, hey, congratulations on winning all this money.
Yeah.
Good on you guys. Just curious. It looks like you guys are going to be, getting out there and selling. What is your process for social media? And that left it open-ended for them to come back, and what he said back was like, well, we don't really have a process. Oh, ding, ding, ding. That's a pain point then, isn't it? Because they're going to need it. They're going to need to do
100%.
online sales. They just are. And so we asked that we asked that qualifying question so that we could get the answer, which is exactly what I needed. And it's not like I was like, ooh, fresh meat, I'm gonna go in. Um, it was right there. I probably could have, but my follow up answer to that was like, well, here's the good news is that you're definitely on the right platform because just doing a quick little sales navigator search and running I have an opportunity calculator with LinkedIn, so I can see what the opportunities are based on it's just an Excel. It's really not that impressive, but
No,
it does
it's a
give really good
life-changing
numbers.
calculator. The world has yet to see. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you're right. I should be positioning it like that.
Let's
I'm being a little too humble.
framework,
I'm being a little
framework.
too humble. Yeah. Nicely done. Thank you for the reset on that. It's an awesome calculator that will tell you exactly what your opportunities are on LinkedIn and how many you're missing if you don't do what we tell you to do. How about that?
The
That's
missed
much.
opportunity, FOMO. I want it, I
Yeah.
gotta have it. So, I think those parts are really important. You said 10 to 13 touches, so that no, stat or continues to hold for you. And the part of the
Yeah.
problem where people get stuck is not continuing to reach out. They have that
Yeah.
fourth or fifth or sixth touch. In fact, I had a call with a well-established person.
Mm-hmm.
People may know this person. Uh, she had 5 different businesses, CEOs in place in all of the businesses, and they were running all of the teams. And so that was after
Yeah.
she like sold a different company with thousands of
Yeah.
employees. And so I booked a call, my team and my profile booked a call with her.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm on the call, I'm quickly picking up. I'm like, hold on a second. This is, the level of business and where she's at in her business life and cycle. And,
Yeah.
and so I was like, this is a different conversation. So I'm like researching a little bit more, like figuring stuff out. The call went great. Let's get to the end, which is at the end of the call, me asking her, just curious, why did you get on the call? Any
Yeah.
ideas what she said?
I have an idea. You're gonna have to tell me though.
Yeah, it's fine. I leave it open just for fun to see where things go. She said, it's because you followed up with me more than 4 times. And it
Yep.
wasn't, hey, I'm here tomorrow. Hey, how's it going? I'm still here. Hey, the next day. It wasn't, it was a certain cadence that we, advise and have found to work really well. And she's like, if
Mhm.
somebody only follows up with me 2 or 3 times, I won't even give them the time of day because they know they don't have an established team and system and process for
Yeah.
what they're doing. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that shifted things for me, where I was like, I knew numbers wise is important, but I was like, but it's like, but they're, too big and it doesn't work for like the more established people or high no, it works almost
Mhm.
better because they're
Yeah.
like, they'll trust you more because they've already seen how you're showing up, i.e. your
Yeah.
profile being set a certain way. And if you're the influence
Oh,
builder,
interesting.
with no, it was a solid epiphany. So I'm everyone listening, watching, just sharing that. And Danielle,
Yeah.
the conversation we're having, it's the story that I was promising, where I hope more business owners have the same epiphany. Don't be afraid. Have a team, have a system. And
Mhm.
like, here's the thing. If we're reaching out or following up and we sustain that for a week or 2 weeks, we both know that's not enough. Or we just turn it
Mhm.
on when we need it and we do this roller coaster situation.
Mhm.
That's not interesting. Like if you're rowing a boat and you always have to row and it doesn't move unless you're rowing,
Mhm.
you're not going to get across the channel or the river or the whatever you're crossing, right, to hit your goal. You need more
Mhm.
people in the canoe or the boat that are all rowing together.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
it's a fun conversation.
It is fun, and I love that. Yeah, and that is the problem with following up, and people are like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, and just like, well, I mean, if anything, do it to amuse yourself. I mean, that's kind of my thing. I'm like, I just want to see, and you and I have talked about this before, where you're like, are you sure you're not a good salesperson? Because I don't like to say that I'm a good salesperson, but I'm like, I just kind of like turning the conversations a different way,
Yeah.
so they benefit everybody involved. Because I have a lot of conversation where either the person is perceiving it as like, oh, you're just trying to sell me, and so they perceive it as one-sided, or they come at me like, hey, thanks for reaching out, and here's my whole sales process right here in the DMs. And so they're selling to me, and I'm like, I wonder if I can turn either of these conversations into something that feels a little more win-win.
I
And so
think
I like doing that anyway.
I think everyone listening, watching can really benefit from your style. Okay, because you mentioned earlier, so let's hang on this for a second. You mentioned earlier buying personalities.
Hmm.
There's 4 of them. There's also 4
Hmm.
sales, like selling personalities.
Yeah.
And most people think I have to become someone else or act more and talk more like this other person or persona in order to sell. And that's not true. That's not, you could do that. It's not as fun, not
Yeah.
as authentic. What it's helpful is to understand what selling personality you are and how you
Yeah.
communicate with the other personalities and buying personas, which is human communication, simply put. So
Yeah.
you do this really, really well in a way that a lot of people resonate with, i.e., you don't want to
Hmm.
be the hard salesperson. You don't identify as a sales professional or person, but you are really good at it, hence closing a 50K deal in DMs. But the piece that people will benefit from is, so the style piece you're just starting to describe. Share with them why you don't identify with a salesperson as a salesperson first.
Because okay, so the reason I don't identify as a salesperson is because whenever I think of like it's a sale, it's very transactional, and I'm not a transactional person. Like it's not about winning for me. It's about communication, which is probably why we like to talk for like at least an hour every time we get on here. But it's about communication, and it's about seeing, is this really a benefit to them first and foremost, the person I'm talking to, and is it going to be a benefit to me? So it's the double win, and it's a triple win if I can see a benefit for others involved, which could be combined audiences, right? So that's a triple win if it's all 3 of us are winning. It could be that their clients could benefit from working with me as well, or you, like for you, their clients could benefit from them becoming an affiliate of yours and using FlowChat, right? So that's a triple win. So I look for that instead of the sale and the transaction.
So this is theory. And if you look at, and if we go to application, we don't have to go any further than recent messages that Daniela sent me. And in
Mhm.
fact, I wonder if I can like pull this up. There might be some good ones. I might even be able to just show everyone.
Yep, by all means.
This might be fun. We can make it really real.
Hmm.
And you might even be subconsciously doing some of these things, which is also a possibility. What one is following up. Let's see if I can find a couple of them. Let me resend. Okay, this is the messaging copy. You did a good job of when it comes to the recent cool thing that's coming up. That stay tuned to hear exactly what's going on, what Danielle's been working on, and why it'll benefit you. Um, she you're so patient, Danielle. There's certain things that I needed to get to her for this event that's coming up, and I was slacking. And you had those helpful messages, timely messages that were not asking me to do the thing that I was supposed to be doing. They were helpful things that, okay, this is too hard to be so elusive. Let me share screen. Let's just have a real conversation
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
Okay, yes, there we go. We can see this. You can see
Mhm.
this on your side. Okay, cool. So here's direct, our communication that's taking place. I'm supposed to be doing these things. Hey, book for Tuesday. Looking forward to it. Yep, so excited. Okay, great. That was last week, and then
Mhm.
engaging with friends. Hey, I'm doing helpful things in your community. It's like awesome. Thanks, Danielle. Which really means, Chris, why haven't you got to do social posts. You got to send an email. We need to complete things. The deadline is
Mhm.
coming, Chris. But she didn't say any of those things, but she already said them, and we both know what's taking place. This framework right here, Danielle and I are very similar in our sales process and style. For
Mhm.
example, as clear as when I used to cold call and pull doors, walk into businesses and have to befriend gatekeepers and business owners, I would never talk about the business. They all know. I'd be like,
Mhm.
oh, I just helped so and so. Hey, how'd your vacation go from last time? They know what I'm there for. I don't need to beat them
Mhm.
over the head with it, right? So that's Danielle's style that she did really well. And so we continued the conversation, and I sent the emails, and it went the direction it needed to go. So that piece I think is really helpful for people to hear is
Yeah.
follow up matters. You need more touch
Yeah.
points. And if you follow up with the perspective of where's the win-win-win, why am I benefiting for spending my time learning more about their world? How can I benefit their world and the people in their world? That thinking, and whether you're doing sales or if it's your relationships, that's just profitable, healthy thinking for whatever you're doing in life. Highly advise it, which is why I wanted to hang out here for a second. So thank you, Danielle, for being the example. Now, this continued. Tell us, I just figured this out just before we jumped on here. Tell us of what you've been doing in the community.
Yeah, well, and it really was to support you and Sean with FlowChat, because I think it's a wonderful product. I think it's so needed. I think people need to know you guys more.
Well, thank you.
And knowing that you guys have a Facebook group, and that's kind of where you are nurturing people into, jumping into the FlowChat family. It's a big group. I think there's almost 5,000, if there's not 5,000 now, but it's a growing group. It's a big group. You guys haven't been in business for too long, like maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's crazy how much the Facebook group has grown, and there's no way you guys can connect with everybody. I'm sure you've done a ton of PR and all that stuff, and people are in there. So what I did was I took me and my team in. I'm like, we're gonna support Chris here. And then we're going to tell him we're supporting him. I'll text him, don't worry, guys. But it was more just, I actually did it because I thought it would be fun, and I thought it would be ironic, and I thought it'd be really fun for a case study for you guys too. So there's a lot of reasons to do it. I'm just like, this is going to be really funny when I tell him what I'm doing. But that was actually my first thought, is like, this will be really
awesome.
funny when I tell him what I did.
So what have you, tell everyone what you've been doing.
Yeah. So I know, copywriter here. So I went into the FlowChat Facebook group, and I looked for my friends who were also in the group. So they went into one column in FlowChat of friends in FlowChat, and then the other one were people who had some things in common. So they weren't connections in Facebook yet, and so I had to get rid of I don't know, about 200 or 300 Facebook people that just aren't active. So we had to do that first, because I'm always hitting that 5,000 mark. And so once we did that, then we put those guys in. So first and foremost, with our friends, who I don't feel bad at all for just saying, hey, haven't talked in a while. I see that you're in the FlowChat Facebook group. Guess what? I'm interviewing Chris, the co-founder. He's amazing. You guys should come check it out. And then I gave him your link down here. That was the affiliate link to go over and sign up with your affiliate link. So we had a whole bunch of people, and you know what they said? Oh, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Nobody was like, I don't want to listen to Chris.
Well, that's good.
Not one of them said
that guy, he's a real piece of work. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know that I don't want to be there.
No one said that. They said that you guys are great. So all really positive feedback. So we moved them over that way. So that was really, the end of that piece of it. That was really easy peasy, right? And then so the second one, this we had to work, and we worked with one of your pipelines. We recreated it a little bit, because I'm sure you guys didn't even think about doing this pipeline, but it was a really good one where we friend requested people that we had something in common with, just because there was like, I don't know, 400 or 500. I'm like, I think that's all we have time to get a hold of anyway. So let's just work with these two groups. And we friend requested them. If they came in, then we started a conversation. We didn't even go into anything beyond like, hey, I see you're in the FlowChat group, right? So we're both in it. I thought it'd be fun to connect. And we tried to do that as soon as they connected, but of course, some people would connect and then ask us that dreaded question that I hate seeing, which is, oh gosh, what inspired you to connect with me today? And I'm like, oh my God, really? Okay. Again. I'm like, oh,
you've received this one before, I take it.
I mean, it's like every other one at this point. I'm like, who's teaching this? That's like I'm a big deal. You must have connected with me because I'm a big deal. So tell me what it is. And I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes.
What's funny is we're we identify that as kind of a problem,
Yeah.
and I can't talk about it yet. But we're working on a very interesting solution
Yeah.
that for that. So the first little leak is happening. Here on this interview of stay tuned for. We've seen it in action. I was like, oh my gosh, this is good. People are gonna freaking love this. It's so good. Anyway, sorry, I've got to open loop you and everyone listening,
Okay.
watching, but we're we're innovating over here, Danielle. We are
Yes.
very immersed and emerged into this situation. So we're
Yeah.
innovating and solving problems. Anyway, so you get
Uh,
this dreaded question and you respond with,
okay, so when I get those, I actually will do a voice message. So I'm
why is
like,
that?
okay, because I want to well, for one thing, I don't want to leave anything to question why I actually connected with them. And I want them to hear my voice. Sometimes you
Mm,
can when you hear somebody's voice, it won't deflate the balloon as much, so to speak. And I don't
yeah.
want to deflate these guys when I say, "Oh, well, we were just in the same Facebook group and that's why." I don't want to do that. So instead I'm like, well, you know what? You are very inspiring now that I'm looking more closely at some of your content. So I really appreciate everything you're doing. I actually connected because we were in this flow chat group together and I thought it would be fun. And so when I say that and you can hear it in my voice,
Mhm.
there's nothing deflating about that. You can't even question that. But if I was to type it up, I mean it
You can take it different
because
ways.
it can be taken different ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
So
powerful.
that's why, yeah,
That's powerful. Cool. Well, this has been a fun conversation. We've got into how you close a 50K deal in DMs. We've got into different strategies and sales personas and buying personas. Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully people have took a bunch of notes and got a lot of value from this already. Before we get to the last question that I always like to ask everyone, where can people are leaning in? They like Danielle. How do we find more Danielle?
Yeah, well, come to the summit first. So
Let's
you're
talk about
gonna,
this.
yeah, I want you guys to come to the summit and listen to Chris and I because it's supposed to be micro interviews. It's not a micro interview with Chris and I. Just heads up, I'm gonna be real with everybody. And like we went a little over, and but it's also good stuff. I mean, you're so entrepreneurial minded, and it's exactly what people need to hear. So we're gonna go a little bit longer with Chris's interview, and you guys are gonna meet some really, really, really cool people. I couldn't have picked a better group of people to do this micro summit with. I mean, really, just really fun, outstanding human beings. I mean, their products are amazing too, don't get me wrong, but they're just like really good human beings and what they're doing in the world. So I'm really excited for that. So you guys can come over there. And where I'm most active is definitely LinkedIn. My influencebuilder.com website is under construction. It will be up by next week. You guys can check it
You
out
heard it
next week.
here.
Yeah, you can check it out next week. We have had some really great fun with development, and so this has been a couple times redone. But it'll be up and going for the summit. But otherwise, I'd love for you guys to connect with me on LinkedIn because we're doing some really fun stuff with networking and the events that you can do on LinkedIn. So come find me at Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark. You can just search that name. There is not another one. There's just me. There's a lot of Danielle Clark, so do not look for her. And so if you put in my whole name, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark, you're going to find me.
Yeah, and I'll pull this up for everyone listening, watching, so you don't have to guess. When you go there, this is exactly what it'll look like. Danielle
Yep.
Fitzpatrick Clark, digital disruptor. You can go to her
Yeah, that's me.
profile there. You'll see the micro virtual summit on the FlowChat member spotlight. We want to spotlight members doing extraordinary things. Danielle is putting herself out there, serving other entrepreneurs and other marketplaces. If anyone has put together a summit or a virtual summit, it's kind of a thing. And so she's
Hmm.
putting in the work. She's a master connector, and she got all of us to give away a bunch of free, cool resources and stuff. And again, here you can go grab a free ticket for admission
Yep.
and get access to some of this and network and meet some great people. I recently heard something that I've been focus on a little bit more, and we'll hit this last question, and it's this powerful
Mm-hmm.
word of proximity.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spare the story because we're at the end already, but so this might sound weird. By just getting around the right people, quality people, it can magically solve problems. And I can give you logical examples and stories and pragmatic reasons and all this stuff. It's crazy how powerful that is. The summit will be a great environment for that to take place in a very convenient way, and a convenient price. So, all that said, here's what fascinates me, Danielle. I'm going to ask you why you do what you do and what drives you. And while you're thinking about it, for entrepreneurs, musicians, actors, athletes, people that create any type of art, they're putting themselves out there, and that art is always received in multiple different ways. It takes a unique person to be able to continue to put themselves out there. You're doing this in the form of business and building a business, and also a summit and creating content. What drives you? Why put yourself out there through all the scrutiny?
Yeah, that's a great question. To the core of me, this is what I believe. I believe that everybody gets to be themselves. And it's not just that they get to be themselves, they get to be comfortable in who they really are and what they really want to do in the world. And that's actually the best thing that you can do for anybody you come in contact with. So, I know that we've got the word influence, and some people will say, "Oh, it's the Kardashians," and I get it. But really, what I mean with influence is that for influence builder, I'm like, we're not just out there, being leaders without a soul. I mean, it's more about inner influence first. You really have to step into who you really are. That's the best way that you're going to put yourself out there anyway. It's so much harder to be who you're not than to be who you are when it comes to stepping into leadership, stepping into authority, and stepping into influence. So
Mm,
I do this to give people permission that actually it's who you really are deep down, that is what the world needs.
that's
And
powerful.
then I help you get visible with that. So,
There's some substance to Danielle. Danielle, I appreciate you spending some time with our tribe and our audience, and so I appreciate you coming out.
of course, always a pleasure, Chris. I'll always talk to you, and I'm glad that we kept it timed a little bit here.
We did pretty well. We're very
We
short
did.
of Joe Rogan, so I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys listening and watching today. We covered a lot of different sales process, buying personas, and sales personas. And hey, it's okay to be you. Operate in high conviction, operate in high integrity. Do not compromise those things, because it does matter, not just for you and your process and journey of growing and building business, but also for your customers, being on the receiving end of the product and service that's being created. Business is just a systematic way of delivering a product and service, but what's created from the heart is felt by the heart, and that's the experience that your customers are having, and it does make a difference. The people that nail that are the people that are unforgettable, and they're changing the world. This is the place you come for the best entrepreneurs that are getting real results in the real marketplace, and you can expect more of these conversations to be had. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.